All right.
You want me to say my name?
Yeah, sure.
My name is Patrick Gilmore. I'm the executive producer.
All right. How many people actually total are working on GoldenEye Rogue Agent?
Well north of 120.
120 people?
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to get that fact out of the way. What, in your opinion, is the hardest aspect of developing a game from scratch along with the storyline like you have with this game?
Well, the toughest part on this product has been crafting the story, because for us it was something new for EALA. You know, it's not a game based on a movie. It's like a new intellectual property. It's a game based on a new character that we created, and we created in the context of this great legacy of James Bond movies. So we worked with Dan Jack, who are the Cubby Broccoli family, who've been creating the James Bond films all these years, and with MGM. So we had a lot of big heavy hitters who were involved in the process of developing the story for this game, and getting all those people in alignment about what the product needs to be, what the story needs to be, who the character was, what you do in the game, things like that, was challenging but fulfilling and good for the product in the end.
Compared to the other James Bond video games, what do you think is most unique about GoldenEye Rogue Agent?
Well, GoldenEye would go deep on the first-person shooter mechanic, and we really focused on the action on the ground, whereas a lot of James Bond films, a lot of James Bond games, what James Bond is all about is action in the land, action on land and sea, in the air. So Bond is flying helicopters, flying jets. He's in tanks on the ground. He's driving vehicles. He's engaged in gunfights and fist fights, and he's also in the water in boats and submarines and Lotus Esprits that do all kinds of amazing things. And our game is really just about the ground war. It's really just about that mechanic, a first-person shooter mechanic, and putting our player in some of the best gunfights we can possibly create within the James Bond universe. So hopefully by focusing on one thing, we're doing it very, very well and really directing the product.
In your opinion, will this game meet or exceed the success and the breakthroughs of GoldenEye 64?
In my opinion,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all big fans of the original GoldenEye. It's being made by people who, many of whom are actually almost reverent about the original product, and we've taken things that were the hallmarks of the original product, and we're trying to update them, since the first game was done in 1997, and we're now quite a ways further down the road. And graphic quality, rendering quality, obviously all of that stuff has gone up, but also the methods with which we deliver content have also improved and gotten better. So it's still a hot environment, it's still great AI, it's still great enemy reactions, it's still amazing multiplayer. So we're taking those kind of tent poles for the original James Bond game, the original GoldenEye game, and we're emphasizing those for this product and just trying to deliver them, but deliver them even more and in a more kind of contemporary way. So there's lots of maturation that's gone on.
Okay. Do you think, considering the success of the original GoldenEye, do you think the actual name GoldenEye attached to the game, do you think that'll be more of a help or a hindrance to the success of the game?
So GoldenEye for us really stands for the type of gameplay that we aspire to. We have a lot of members on the team, and what the name is and what it stands for from a marketing context are sort of different from what it stands for the people who are making the game. As I said, there's a lot of people who are huge fans of the original product and have an almost reverent attitude toward the product. So it's not really about whether it's a help or a hindrance. For us, it's really about the fact that it's a perfect razor for guiding a product, right? If you have an answer about whether something belongs in your product or not, you have this kind of classic that you can use as your beacon, right? That is directing and focusing you on what the right things are for this game. So we're not making a GoldenEye game that's going off in a different direction from the spirit of the original. Instead, we're taking that original and we are doing our best to sort of reach the lofty heights that it scaled.
Okay. In terms of the game itself, I mean, we've seen models for Goldfinger, we've seen models for Oddjob and Dr. No, but what can we expect in terms of playable characters in the multiplayer mode? I mean, will we get to play as James Bond, or will he be out of the game except for that first level?
So you're going to get to play as a whole variety of recognizable characters in the Bond universe. I can't tell you whether you'll be able to play as James Bond yet, because I don't know myself.
Okay.
But as far as being able to play as Dr. No, absolutely. Being able to play as Xenia Onatopp, yes. Aura Goldfinger, absolutely. And a lot of characters that don't appear in the single-player game but who will be familiar characters from the Bond universe.
Okay. Let's see. I'm curious to know who wrote the overall script for the game and who did the music score, because I know for the script for Everything or Nothing, I believe it was Weinstein who did some work on the original GoldenEye movie script. I was wondering if anyone.
So the script was created in collaboration with MGM and Dan Jack. It was written by Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, who've been around for a long time. Made several movies, lots and lots of TV, really veteran writers, and who were sort of jointly approved by all parties involved. So it was Danny Bilson who came up with the original idea to set the whole game in this sort of alternate villain side of the Bond universe where, Aura Goldfinger has not yet flown out the window of an airplane, and Dr. No hasn't fallen into the heavy water in his nuclear power plant. Instead, all of those villains are still sitting around the boardroom table in the most powerful criminal organization, periodically victimizing one of those guys by electricity or
Okay. Can we expect, other than obviously the characters themselves, tie-ins and references to previous Bond movies and games? We've seen like the Fort Knox level, and obviously Dr. No and Goldfinger. And can we expect anything else?
Right. So part of the fun of the game is that if you're a fan of James Bond, then some of the settings that you will recognize from James Bond movies, you'll actually get to go into and see all aspects of in this product. It's probably not, well, we're not announcing it, it's probably not too difficult to guess that given that Dr. No's one of your mortal enemies, you might get to see some major set pieces from that film, for example.
Okay. Let's see.
You have just about 1 more minute.
Okay. I know Eon was THX certified. Will we be getting THX certified, and it'll be compatible with 5.1 surround sound, and will it have progressive scan and high def?
Yes.
Okay. Figure get the logistical questions out of the way. Will all the weapons that they have in the single player mode, will those all be available in the multiplayer mode?
Yep.
Everything. Okay. And we've seen, the explanation we've gotten so far is that the game starts out where you align yourself with Goldfinger to try to get revenge on Dr. No. Is there any additional story arc that you can reveal at this point, or is everything under secrecy?
Well, you get caught up in it. You end up signing up for a lot more than you bargained for. I mean, you thought, I don't think, the idea for your characters, you had no idea the scale of this gang war between the warring factions within this criminal institution. So you align yourself with Goldfinger, but you sort of get in over your head and end up being Goldfinger's main enforcer. And he sends you everywhere there's a hot spot in the world. But the thing that we hope the player loses sight of, at least temporarily, is that there are many, many other villains in this universe besides Goldfinger and Dr. No, and they are watching your performance with sort of great interest, and they will factor into the story in later levels.
Okay.